Hi, I'm Stacie Settle. I'm so excited to spend some time with you today and share a little bit about my story. Maybe you are super excited to watch me, and maybe you're wishing you were literally anywhere else because you have no idea who I am, and that's okay, I get it. But I hope that you'll hang with me for a few minutes so that I can share a little bit about my struggles and my successes as a student at EKU with a disability. Before I get started, I want to tell you all just a little bit about me, what I like to call my fun facts. So I'm from Richmond, Kentucky, and I've lived here my entire life with my amazing family, my mom and dad, my sister, her husband, and my amazing 5-year-old nephew, but I may be a little biased. I've been married for almost 3 years to my best friend and college sweetheart, Neil, and we're excited to celebrate our anniversary this October. And I am an EKU grad. So I grew up in Richmond. I always knew that EKU was an option, and I'd be lying if I tell you I just dreamed of going to EKU. But I'm so glad I did, and by the time I get to the end of my story, you'll see why. The other big thing about me is that I have what's called invisible illnesses. So invisible means that you can't see it, right? And if you were to look at me, you wouldn't know that I have a disability. But if I showed you my arms, you can't really see them now, but my arms kind of bend the wrong way because I have a joint condition. If I told you that I have chronic pain that I have to take medication and use braces for, or if you could see, and you might be able to, the surgery scar from open heart surgery that I had almost 4 years ago. And as cool as this scar is, and as cool as that story is, unfortunately that's not the one I'm going to tell you today, but it is a pretty good one. But I'm going to tell you more about my invisible illnesses as I was going through college. And so I have that chronic pain condition that made it really hard to just function day to day. We knew that I had this as I was growing up. We knew there was something different about me, but it wasn't until my senior year of high school that we got a name for it, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And basically that just means the collagen in my body doesn't work. My joints are loose, things pop out of place. I can be walking down the road and my ankle will give way and I might fall down. Or I could be doing normal things that I did in high school, like playing volleyball and my knee dislocates or my wrist dislocates, just the most random things. And so we finally got a name for it, and of course this was right about as I was to go to college. And so thinking back to that time, I had a doctor who had diagnosed me, and they said, Stacie, as you're about to go to college, you're probably gonna have a little bit of trouble. You're not like everybody else. You can't do the things that everybody else can do because of your pain condition. Would you consider us giving you a handicap parking pass to make things easier? And I was like, no, I'm not disabled. I'm 18. There's nothing wrong with me. And I was going to this new place with these new people, and nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew my medical conditions, and I didn't want to be the disabled person. I thought that that was a bad word, and I didn't want that to define who I was. And of course, my moms always know, right? They know what to do. They know what the right answer is, and you never want to listen to them. But my mom found out that there was a student accessibility center on campus. And she said, Stacie, if we go to the accessibility center and we talk to them and we tell them about your conditions, there's help you could get. Things like registering for classes early, taking my test in a testing center, getting that handicap parking pass so I could be closer to my classroom buildings, all of these things. But I was so determined that I didn't want any special help because I wasn't disabled and I didn't want to be perceived that way. And so I started college saying, nobody has to know. I will just go and I will be normal and I will be like everybody else. And so things started out fine. I was doing well academically. Something else to know about me is I'm a really good student. I love to get an A. I love to get that gold star, which they don't give you in college. I think they should. But I just loved to do well in school. And so I had this one professor, it was my very first class of the day, that every day when the class started, she gave a quiz for 5 points, okay? 5 points. But if you weren't there, you didn't get to take it. And I was a commuter, so that means I didn't live on campus in a residence hall. I drove from my parents' house where we decided it was best for me to stay there. I drove and I would park and I would walk. And remember, I didn't have a handicap pass, didn't have any special help because I didn't need it. I wasn't disabled. And so I was running late that day, probably overslept. I'm not a morning person. Maybe some of you all can relate. And so I found a parking spot that was probably a good 3/4 of a mile from where I needed to be. And I looked at my clock in my car and it said 8:57. And my class started at 9:05. And if I was doing really well with a brisk walk, it would still take me about 15 minutes to get there. And I quickly did the math in my head and realized I'm not gonna make it and I'm gonna miss this quiz, and how dare I miss those 5 extra points. And so I did what I thought was best. I took off running through the parking lot, running down the stairs. I get to a crosswalk and I'm waiting for cars to go through, and I'm bent over and I can't breathe, and my heart is racing, because when you have a heart condition and you run, sometimes that happens. And so it felt like my heart was gonna beat out of my chest. I kept running. My knee dislocates as I'm running, and so I felt like I was just dragging my leg along, heart still racing, I'm getting winded, I can't breathe, I'm so frustrated. And then I finally make it in the building. It's 9:04 and the elevator is full. And so my class being on the 3rd floor, I thought, well, I've run this far, I can take 3 flights of stairs. And I ran up the stairs. I get to the door as the professor has her hand on the doorknob, about to close it. I slide into my desk, knees like on the floor somewhere, it's popped out of place, heart is beating out of my chest, tears streaming down my face from the frustration and the pain. And the professor says, "Class, I'm gonna be nice today. There's no quiz." And I almost was that person that raised my hand and was like, could we please have the quiz anyway? But I didn't want everyone to hate me, so I didn't. And so as I'm sitting there, and maybe you've experienced this in your life, you're just sitting somewhere and you look around and you think, what am I doing? What in the world? Why am I so proud that I can't ask for a little help? And so it was in that moment that I realized maybe having some help wouldn't be so bad. And so the first thing I think you need to know is that you don't have to be afraid to ask for help. We all need a little bit of help from time to time, and it doesn't make you less than, it doesn't mean you're incapable, it just means that you have to know your limits. And even in my professional life now, I know with my heart condition and this lovely post-surgery scar that I have, that I can't lift over a certain amount. And if there's a heavy box to be lifted, I'm gonna have to ask someone else to do it. And that doesn't mean I can't do my job, it just means I need a little help with that part. And so you have to know what's out there, know what your options are so that you can get the help you need. And so for me at that time, it meant going to the Accessibilities office on EKU's campus and sitting down with a really wonderful case manager named Sandy. And that woman handed me tissue after tissue as I sat in her office and cried for 2 hours, telling her all of the things that had happened that semester, all of my struggles, how I was struggling to get to class physically, how I just felt that I was at a disadvantage starting out. And she said, "Stacie, we have something to help you. We have these accommodations that we can give you. We'll talk to your professors, and they will make these, reasonable requests to help you be successful in their class." One of them for me was that I got to take my laptop to class to take notes digitally, because my hands would cramp up because of my connective tissue disorder. And so I had my laptop out, and at first I was self-conscious because some professors said you can't have laptops in the class, and I got to have mine, and I thought everybody's looking at me. But I quickly learned that everybody's so focused on their own grades and their own studies, they're not watching me. Another thing I got to do was register early for classes so that I could plan out my day better, so that I didn't have to run across campus. I got to get that handicap parking pass so that I could park right next to my classroom building. And I remember when I would give friends rides after class and they would see where I'm parked and they're like, "Wow, you're so lucky you get to park here." And I always responded with, "Yeah, this heart condition's pretty great, you should get one." And I always thought that was so funny, but my friends enjoyed it as they got to ride to class with me. And so I slowly but surely got the help I needed, and then I had to learn to speak up for myself. So part of the accommodations were that I had to go to my professors and I had to say, here's this letter telling what I need, here's the accommodations I need, and we had to discuss that, and we had to both sign it, that we had talked about it, and then those accommodations would be made. And that was terrifying to me, to walk up to someone and to say what I felt like, "Hey, there's something wrong with me." And I learned that that's not what it is. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a little different, as we all are. I became more confident in advocating for myself, and that's a big thing as you go through life. You've got to be able to speak up and let your wants and needs and desires be known, because if you don't speak up for yourself, sometimes no one else will. And so I became very confident in doing that. And so the next thing that began to happen is as I was able to succeed in the classroom, I began to find successes outside of the classroom as well. I got an on-campus job where I became a tutor. I joined a student ambassador program where I got to mentor new students coming in, give tours to prospective students that were still in high school. I started a Bible study with some of my friends. I went to football games. I just did all the things that a normal college student would and should be able to do because I wasn't so exhausted from just getting to class every day. And so little by little, as I became more involved, my support system that I had went from here to here. And I had all these people cheering me on, rallying around me, encouraging me, and telling me that I could do it. And so that's the second thing you need to know is that you don't have to do it alone. There are so many people that can help you. There's so much opportunity that exists for you, but you have to be willing to seek it out. So you've got to find your people, find your cheerleaders, find your sounding board, find your encouragers, because those are the people that are going to help you through when things get tough. And when people support other people, incredible things start to happen. And I think the most amazing thing that starts to happen is that you believe that you can do it, whatever your it is. And so that's the third thing that you've got to know is that your mindset is half the battle. There's a person I really admire who once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And what you think about and what you think of yourself is what you're going to become. And if you're constantly putting yourself down and you're constantly telling yourself that you can't do it, you're too sick, you're too disabled, no one likes me, I'm not good at that, whatever it is, that's what you're going to believe in your mind and your heart, and you're not going to be able to get past that. And so I think you have to be kind to yourself and kind to other people. And that's something I'm still working on. We all are. But what I do, and you can laugh at me if you want, but I have what I call my positive affirmations that I have all over my house. And so while I'm getting ready in the morning and I'm brushing my teeth, I'm reading things like, I am confident and capable, I can make a difference in my world, amazing opportunities exist for me. Whatever it is that I need to hear at the time, that's what's on my bathroom mirror. That's what's written on my bedroom mirror. I've even hidden little notes in my kitchen cabinet so when I open them and I'm cooking that I have these little reminders to just keep going. It's made a big difference in my attitude because I think whatever you're putting in to your mind and your heart, that's what's going to come out. And that has been one of the biggest things that I've learned. And so it took a lot of support, a lot of positive thinking, and a lot of hard work. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of late nights in the library. There were some tears shed. There were some times when I was frustrated. And I thought, man, it would be so easy to just quit. But I didn't. And I think that that's the other thing you have to know is just keep going. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how bad you want to quit, no matter how much you think this would be so much easier if I just did it. And what I always like to remind myself is a short-term pain for a long-term gain. I knew that at the end of those 4 years, I was going to graduate and I was going to have a degree, and I am a first-generation college student. That was important to me, to be one of the first people in my family to earn a 4-year degree. And so at the end of those 4 years, I not only graduated with a degree in public relations, but because I was having so much fun, I thought, well, let's add another one, and I got a degree in Spanish as well. So I graduated with a dual degree and with summa cum laude honors, which is the highest honors that you can have. And I say that not to impress you, but to show you that if I can do it, you can too. And that if I can overcome the obstacles that were in front of me, you can overcome whatever it is that's in front of you. Just keep going. Even when it's hard, even when you feel like you'd rather be doing a million other things, even when you think that you just can't find the strength to keep moving, I hope that you do. But above the degrees, above the honors, above all the cords and regalia that I got to wear that day, my proudest moment from my 4 years at EKU was when I stood on that graduation stage and I gave the commencement address to 4,000 people in Alumni Coliseum. And I got to stand on that stage and share the story that I'm sharing with you today. A story of struggle, a story of success, a story with some tears and some laughter and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they say, went into that degree. But I got to stand there and be proud of who I was. I brought awareness to people with invisible illnesses, to people with disabilities, to show that we're not all We don't all just fit in the same box. We're all different. We all are unique, and we all have a story to share. And so I got to say, yes, I'm disabled, but I'm so much more than that. Yes, my disability is part of me, but it does not define who I am. And yes, you can be successful with a disability, with learning differences, with a medical condition, whatever it is that you feel is bringing you down. I'm proud of who I am, and I believe that amazing opportunities exist for me, and I hope you do too. And so to close, I just want to recap the 4 things that I told you today. Number 1, don't be afraid to ask for help. Number 2, know that you do not have to do it alone. There's a support system for you. Number 3, your mindset is half the battle, and the power of positive thinking will take you really far. And number 4, just keep going, even when you don't want to. I'm going to close out with a quote by Mary Kay Ash, who's a woman I greatly admire. She says, "Most people live and die with their music still unplayed because they never dare to try." And so I hope you find the music that sets your soul on fire. I hope you find your passion in life, and I hope that you will dare to try, because I believe that amazing, amazing opportunities exist for you, just like they did and continue to do for me. Thank you.